Good afternoon, everyone. The special meeting of the Bellflower City Council is called to order on Monday, June 12, 2023 at 4 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Coops,
Here?
Councilmember Sanchez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamada, Councilmember Dutton,
Here.
Mayor Santinez.
Here. Is there a motion to excuse the absence of Mayor Pro Tem Hamada?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Coops, seconded by Councilmember Sanchez to excuse the absence of Mayor Pro Tem Hamada without objection. That will be the order. Item 3, Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3A, the public may address the City Council on matters not listed on the agenda, listed on the agenda. Those wishing to speak on a listed item should come to the podium, be recognized by the mayor, and state your name for the record. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on items 4A or 4B? There being none, we'll move to 4A. Mr. Stewart.
So this is an item that's been brought to you after some consideration. My friend Gil Levis, who's in the audience today, introduced me to Chad Castrita, who runs a company called Care Solace. And the point is to allow mental health accessibility in the community on a pretty robust website. We talked about it a couple times. It seems intriguing to me. I know that Mayor Santinez and Councilmember Coops met with Mr. Castrita and went through the process before. We all seem like this seems to be a worthwhile venture that would be worth trying out, at least for a limited period of time at the minimum. Rather than having any more further discussions on it, I thought it'd be appropriate to bring this to a meeting of the City Council prior to adopting the budget. If it is something that the council is willing to do, then it would be included in this year's budget, which is going forward at the regular meeting following this one. In the meantime, I think I'd like Mr. Castrita to make a presentation to the City Council about Care Solace, and then we can answer any questions you have following that.
All right, Mr. Castrita,
Hi, Mayor.
the floor is yours.
Yeah, Mayor Santinez, council members, thanks for allowing me in to your city hall. Appreciate it. My name is Chad Castrita. I'm the founder of a mental health mission in Los Angeles County known as Care Solace. When a mental health issue or a substance use issue hits your home, one of the biggest challenges for people is navigating systems of support. Trying to navigate systems of support is a nightmare in the state of California, and it takes on average 1 to 3 months just to see a therapist in Los Angeles County. And so I built a mission that is out to solve that problem of navigating, finding, and expediting access to mental health supports for any resident, any staff member, anybody in need, regardless of whether you have insurance or don't have insurance. And that's Care Solace was launched in 2018, and we currently serve now in Los Angeles County. We service roughly about 250 communities in Los Angeles County alone, also to include school districts. A little bit about me, I'm from East Los Angeles, and in 2012, the disease of mental health and substance use disorder put me into homelessness, which is why I launched Care Solace. It took my own family 4 to 6 months to find services for me. So I said, if that happened to my parents who have insurance, what about people in East Los Angeles under the Medi-Cal system in our state? How do they navigate systems of support? And I launched Care Solace to solve that problem of when it hits your home, how to navigate and expedite access to services. My objective was to actually show you what this looks like live here in Bellflower. So I'm gonna walk you through what this looks like in a live scenario. So I'm gonna click on this. And this service that I'm showing you live, I turn the switch on live here in Bellflower so you can see a resident or a staff member that wants to use the service as a voluntary benefit for themselves so they can get access to services. This little website has fielded 9.6 million cases in the state of California to date. People have texted us, people have emailed us, people have picked up the phone and called us or video chatted for help. Our service, our care companion team, we speak over 250 languages. So if you want to find services in Spanish, our system does that. If you have no insurance, I'm going to show you this. Our system finds services. If you're under the Medi-Cal system or have HMO under Kaiser or private insurance, our service helps you navigate the system 24/7 by 365. So if you don't want to call us and you just want to find supports on your own and see what's available or accessible, you click on that little search on your own button, and it asks you who needs services. Who's this search for? You have a resident, a staff member of the city, or a staff member that lives outside the city, or for a family member, I'm going to click on resident of Bellflower. What gender does the person in need identify with? And we'll put male, female, or non-binary. I'll click on female as an example. What's the age of the person that needs services today? Click on 44 years of age as an example. You can decline to answer on the ethnicity, but if you want to put that in there so we can better match you to local services, you can put that in there. I'll put Hispanic Latino. We have all the addictive behaviors for drug overdoses, substance use disorders. We also have every mental health category built into every insurance plan. So just to be very clear, we've integrated with every insurance plan in the state of California, to include Kaiser, United Healthcare, Anthem Blue Shield, Blue Cross, to include the Medi-Cal system in the state, to include Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health Services and the Health and Human Services Agency. So we know every single provider and the wait time and availability, the specialization, and acts, and to be able to filter accordingly and to get people into services in an expedited way. So if you know the general idea, you can start clicking on various categories: depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, trauma, the top 4 mental health categories in Los Angeles County. So I'll start with that. If you don't know what you need and have no clue whatsoever what the issue is, you can click on this button. We can link you to a psychologist to assess you right now and to start you on the pathway from day one, so you're not picking up the phone and just trying to figure it out yourself and wasting your time. We just try to streamline the process to make it simple and easy. You have all these different pathways. So if I'm looking for a bed due to a residential drug abuse issue and I need a bed, or a psychiatric issue, or there's a 5150 that you need to transfer somebody into a hospital and then transfer services outside. If I need to find a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or just want to find a therapist, I can do that. And I'll click on therapy and click on next as an example. Well, let me go back here. Let me go back here. Just give me a second. And let me click on this. Click on this. Click on this. Click on this. Click on the next, and then let me uncheck that, and then there we go. So I clicked on therapy, private insurance, public insurance, no insurance. I'll click on, I'm on Medi-Cal, so I'll click on that. I'm going to find a Medi-Cal provider. Put Blue Shield, Blue Cross, Medi-Cal. Click on next. I want to find somebody in a 5-mile radius in the 90706 zip code. I want to find a therapist. I want telehealth options just in case I can't transport there. So I clicked on Hispanic Latino, a female, in the 90706 zip code, and I clicked on Medi-Cal. I'll hit find providers near me. And then what the service does is to search every Medi-Cal provider within a 5-mile radius to help this particular person in need. That's available right now in the next 72 hours to help this particular resident or staff member in need. So what this integrates with is the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, to include the Medi-Cal system in the state under the Department of Health Services, and looks at wait time and availability and services that are available to help this particular resident in need. And then what we've launched is known as a care companion process. And we launched this service in 2019. And the purpose of this service is so that somebody can expedite and talk to someone. Hi, I'm just on it. This is just a demo, not a live call. I'm just at a city council member showing how this works. Sorry about that, just showing how it works. Yeah, thank you. Sorry to bother you. Thank you. So in 15 seconds, our team is going to pick up the phone, answer questions for your residents, and then walk them through the wait time and availability of these providers and actually check them in to the front door and book an appointment for them. So they don't have to do research, they don't have to navigate their insurance, they don't have to call a county hotline or 211 and get dismal customer service. So our team is there to navigate the system in Los Angeles County and expedite access. So that's how that works. So we've been labeled, because of this process, as the open table of mental health, like a reservation system for every mental health provider in Los Angeles County. Just to go back and just show you some real data, and then I'm done here. But I want to walk you through. So we're kind of that open table between all the services, between the county sheriff's department, local law enforcement, social services. So if you need free medical, free dental, food and shelter, our service navigates that. mental health and substance use disorder. We're kind of that center hub between all the services within Los Angeles County. And a couple other brief things I want to walk you through. In Los Angeles County, we have 10,352 providers in all these different pathways. So we have 6,437 telehealth providers. We have all these beds, feeding and eating disorders. So any topic that comes up for any need behavioral, we have that resident's back. We navigate, expedite service, and clear the pathway, clear all the barriers, and put them right through the front door into services, so there's no exacerbation of any issues or any concerns. Just to wrap this up, this is a live analytic here of the city of Bellflower. Within the last 24 hours, we've had 34 cases come in to our service in the last 24 hours from your community members. We've had 30 providers that have been available for these 34 residents. We break down age, gender, ethnicity, insurance, and DSM-5 categories. So you'll have an impact report, a live analytic, 24/7, that will show you through our service what are the most pressing issues our residents in our community are needing, and what are the reasons why they need supports, what pathways, what insurances, age, gender, ethnicity, all of those data. Are they actually receiving services? Are they successfully completing services? All that data is readily available for you in your
And Chad,
your
that's
city.
through your contract with the school district, is that, or is that data, or is that where that comes from?
Yeah, that's probably from the school district, yeah. Yeah, that's right. And then just a couple other brief things, then I'm done. This is the total cases as of March. So from September 20th, when we launched into Los Angeles County, to March of this year, we have fielded over 890,000 cases just in the Los Angeles County alone. And it breaks down the number of calls and then hours of calls, text, emails, phone numbers, text messages, referrals, and those types of things. So we know the community really well. We know LA County Department of Mental Health really well. We know the social services, every behavioral health provider in LA County, and we just make it very easy for people to get and find services that they need. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. That's it for me.
Real quick question. So on beds and stabilization, you have 286 total listed up there available in LA County. Is that the total amount that are total available at this time?
Say that again for these,
When you go back, when you go back to
for residential.
hospitalization and stabilization, you have 286. Is that total beds available, or what does the 286 refer to?
Let me find that, 286. Those are hospitals.
Hospitals, okay.
Yeah, hospitals and ERs
Gotcha.
and stabilization centers for 5150s or for crisis.
Okay. Do you know if those are fully occupied, or are there vacancies in those
Yeah,
locations?
so on our system, it will determine the wait time and availability, and we work with the discharge
gotcha.
team
Okay.
and the intake team to determine the wait time and availability to get people checked in.
All right, thank you, Mr. Castrita. As mentioned by the city manager, Councilmember Coops and I sat down with you, and we were kind of very intrigued by your presentation. Just a couple of follow-up questions. In terms of availability, you show that there's about 4 or 5 providers available at this time when you try to chime in. But on average, how many providers are available at any time?
It depends on the community, but on average, roughly about 27 providers.
Providers
Yeah,
available.
Yeah,
Okay.
for therapy pathways, outpatient pathways, and intensive outpatient pathways.
Okay.
For residential, that's a little lower. For residential, it's about anywhere from 6 to 9 at any given time.
I see, okay. And how often do you update the list of providers? Because let's say you have a new provider providing this new service, or a new provider just came in town.
Yeah, every 3 months.
Every 3 months?
Every 3 months. So we update our database 4 times a year, so it's relevant and fresh when people use it. We have an updated database of wait time and ability, specialization, whether they're in network with insurance or out of network with insurance.
I see. And one more thing, you discussed about the 890,000 services provided.
Yeah.
That's how much population are we talking about here?
In Los Angeles County, it's roughly about almost 3 million.
3 million
Yeah.
that were signed up with you?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you so much. Any question of Mr. Castrita? Councilmember Dutton?
I was gonna wait.
Okay. Councilmember Sanchez? Save the best for last. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
My questions may be answered. especially from Victor, who deals with this, doesn't he?
Thank you. Thank you,
Your
Mr. Smith.
wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, exactly. Couple questions. First off, I like the topic. I like the fact that we're having the conversation, so I'll start off with that. A couple of things here. You mentioned there's a contract with BUSD already. What does that cover? Is it a similar structure than the one we're looking at today?
Yeah, it's $4 per student per year, and it covers all their staff and all their students and the family members.
Okay. So then right off the bat, for me, my first sign there is that would be a bit of a duplication of work, right? Because most of BUSD is covered and
That's a
covers the
good,
city of
that's a good
Bellflower.
question. I think we touched based on that on the presentation. They need to take out the duplicative in
Okay,
terms of what we're paying. At the same time, the school district also includes other cities other than Bellflower. So
and
in
so
term-
what would that
in terms
number?
of the count of the number of participants,
Yeah.
those will be taken out.
That's right, yeah, we
Yeah.
charge this for the student population, and so we subtracted that out of your proposal. We can't double dip. So we don't double dip from cities to the school districts that we service
So
in
the
Southern
60
California,
So walk me through your proposal then. 67,000 residents.
minus the school district population, which is roughly, I believe, about 10 to 12,000 students, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the students and their families, right?
Students, yeah, we charge the school district students by the
I know,
student.
you charge them, but their families are included.
They have access.
Okay, they have
Yeah, they have access, and so we subtract the school district student population that we charge for out of the city population, and we charge $1.50 for the cities per resident to have a 24/7 service available for them, 365.
What are the, okay, so on that note, I think that we have to revisit those numbers because that doesn't really add up to me, for me. If the families already have access to it, I think there's a lot of duplication here, number one. Then secondly, how's the marketing strategy for this? How do we get this information out to the
Yeah,
families?
it's a great question. So just to be clear, it's those families that have access that only have students in that school district.
Okay,
So that's really, really important to denote. Yeah, and so each city, each school district, through their notification systems, disseminates our link out to every stakeholder so that they know that this resource is available and the council and the board is investing in this particular resource for their anonymity, their privacy, their 24/7 access. So it's notified through the notification system. It's put on your websites and through the marketing materials of that city and that school district.
so the city's responsible for the marketing?
Yeah, so we give you all the materials,
Okay,
and then you just push it out to your channels, the way you do today.
okay. Would you mind doing another live demonstration, but for an age 7 with trauma?
Yeah.
Don't matter the gender or ethnicity?
Yeah.
Actually, put it Hispanic, please. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Search on your own. For a student. For a male or female?
Regardless.
And what age?
7?
And what gender? Or what ethnicity?
Hispanic?
And what issues? Trauma? Therapy or what?
Individual therapy.
What insurance?
Let's go, no insurance.
Same zip code?
Yes, sir.
5 miles. Telehealth or no telehealth?
Yes.
So these are the providers that would be available in the next 72 hours to help that particular parent, guardian.
And so some of these are individuals, some of these are actual
Ye-
agencies?
Yeah, so what we
There you are.
did, that's a very
Yeah.
great point. Yeah, so what we did is LA County Department of Mental Health only has so many resources that are shared.
Okay.
And so what it has is it's created a bottleneck for people that need supports. So the average wait time just for therapy in Los Angeles County is 1 month to 3 months through DMH. So what we did is we downloaded thousands of resources under Department of Health Services that are private in practice under Medi-Cal that are also available throughout the state. And these are the individual practitioners that are outside of the LA Department of Mental Health.
Would you mind scrolling down a little bit more?
Yeah.
So I see there it says Care Solace verified.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so we're integrated with the Department of Health Services. So we look at rip-off reports, lawsuits, licensure, holds on licensure, severe customer complaints, wait time and availability, pathways, specialization, age, gender, ethnicity, language, and then location. And if they have a lawsuit or rip-off report, they're out.
Got it. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so you can't, we update it every 3 months. So the LA Department of Mental Health updates their database once a year, and we just couldn't wait for that. So we update our database every 3 months.
And I'm curious, the person on the other line who answers the phone,
Yeah.
what's their background?
Yeah, they're our employees.
Okay.
So we have over 600 of those staffers. They're licensed clinical practitioners. They have to have 100.
They're licensed?
Oh, yeah.
Licensed MSWs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
they vary. They're all across the board. So they're licensed, the LCS.
That's in the state of California.
That's in the state of California, yeah.
No wonder we have a shortage. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest challenges we have. But we have the Care Companion team, our licensed team. The Care Companion team has to have 150 hours of training as well. And
Yeah.
that's our 24/7 team.
Right.
And they have to have 150 hours. But that gal that came up, she's licensed. She's here in Los Angeles County somewhere. She
So
said her
they-
name's Marcia. I don't know who she is, but she's one of our 600 people. And her job is to know Los Angeles County resources, particularly Medi-Cal, because I click on Medi-Cal.
So they're not providing the therapy or the counseling?
No,
Even
we're
if-
not.
Even though they're licensed?
Yeah, no, we don't actually provide the treatment itself. We wanted to leverage all the assets that are already in the community.
Interesting.
Yeah, we didn't want to be a telehealth company. We wanted to be open table. So regardless of the restaurant you wanted to go to, so to speak, we have the ability to get you into that restaurant. That was the whole idea.
So then why hire them at a license level? Because it's 3 years for licensure, first
Yeah,
of all.
because of HIPAA compliance. So you have to be HIPAA compliant, FERPA compliant when working with school districts. We're handling, millions of cases a year. So we have to have that licensure to be able to handle these cases. And what I didn't show you today is I'm just showing you the resident and staff access to services, but we have a warm handoff capability. The warm handoff is for your Parks and Rec, it's for your HR, it's for a librarian or city clerk, it's for law enforcement. And what they do is they log into our service and they send us a warm handoff. So when they're working with a resident in need and they say, I got to get this person into services, they text us for help and they refer that case to us. That's our HIPAA compliant. In that process, you have to have a licensed clinical staffer take that case.
Okay. And so Marcia or any of your other 599 people,
Yeah,
are they doing the handoff as well to the other agencies?
both.
Or are they direct giving them the information and the contact?
Yeah, so they do all the appointment setting and booking. They enroll people into the services. So Marcia does a few different things. So she handles the call, pre-screens, uses our database to find resources, and then books you an appointment right on the call.
Okay.
That's what she does.
Wow. I mean, that's fantastic from that standpoint. So coming back, let's say we come back at this 6 months from now,
Yes, sir.
would you be able to provide data as to where people were referred to
Yes, sir. Every month.
every month?
Every month you'll get an email from our organization that gives you an impact report that shows you the full month snapshot of how many services rendered by age, by gender, by pathway, by insurance, by location, which agencies came up. You have that impact. We call it an impact report.
Okay.
And in addition, you're going to have this. It's our hub that I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be just in your particular city,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll be able to have access to that hub.
So
That I
would you
pulled
be
up.
able to provide what'd you call it?
It's called an impact report.
Impact report. Would
Yes,
you
sir.
be able to have an impact report active now, since you are already looking at Bellflower? Where are you referring to?
Yes.
The-
Pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see. See if I can log into this. See if I can get this set up. This looks like. See if I can pull this up here. So this is just an example of the data reports that you'll have access to. If I can get internet in here, it's a little bit clunky for me, but so here you'll be able to see every fiscal month. So from July 1 to present. So what this looks like, inbound interactions, this is the impact report that we'll send to you. And so you'll have inbound interactions. This will tell you that in this particular impact report, it's showing that there's 7,860 residents that have emailed us, texted us, phone called us, or video chatted for help live, used our live component for services. And then here we break down the warm handoffs. These are from, law enforcement, anybody that has an interaction with a community member that is trying to get somebody into services for their benefit, does a warm handoff to us, sends us that case, and we measure how many actual appointments from the warm handoff, how many anonymous searches where people just navigated our search on your own without wanting to talk to anybody, and then we break down time phone call of day, we break down demographics by age, by gender, by ethnicity, by substance use disorder, mental health, top insurance, and providers locally in the community.
And this is Long Beach Unified right now.
This is what I was able to.
So I see, if you don't mind scrolling back down.
Yeah.
I saw some of the providers here. So they're referring to Kaiser, to the Long Beach Child, and then the Guidance Center, 3%.
Yes, sir. So out of all of these, so we break down out of all of the 7,860 plus the 932. We break down which providers are taking the pie,
Okay.
taking the capacity of those residents in need,
Very neat.
as an example. So this is actually what the impact report will look like, exactly. And so it will be the city of Bellflower will tell you which residents are using this certain, it's not gonna give you their names and phone, we're not legally able to do that.
Right.
But it's gonna give you the total, how many people are calling, emailing, and texting by day, by month, for what reasons, what are the most pressing needs, and those types of things, and insurance and those types of things.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. But I think that's good for now. I do have some questions for staff.
Okay,
but,
all right, thank you, we'll go back
Thank you,
to that.
thank you, sir, for
Yeah, appreciate the
Very
questions.
informative.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Coops?
So Victor was concerned about the numbers, but just a real basic number. Our population is just a little less than 79,000 people, I believe. Does that sound about right? 88?
What's the
Okay, so
proposal I sent you?
census. I think we're
all right.
What's the proposal
I'm still
I
in
sent you?
2010 maybe.
80.
Yeah,
80?
so,
It's
yeah,
about
so
80.
I subtracted out the student, and we charged $1.50 for 67,000 residents.
That was going to be your quote.
Yeah, that's what I sent the proposal
Okay.
for. It's minus the students, because we charged this for the students.
And the families is right along on that.
The families have access and they can use it whether they want, but we don't charge for the families.
I get it.
So, and those families are the only families that actually have students in that school district. So, they may not have access depending on the situation.
So
that's-
our net is about 67,000 to answer your question.
Yeah, so we
If you-
deducted 12,000, I think, from the total population.
And
Yes,
if I
sir.
remember right from our previous discussion, you are looking to help people. So if there's someone that's out of Bellflower and they call in, you don't turn them away just because they live in the next zip code.
No, sir. And although that's going to be a minimal access, but yeah, if they call us and they just found the link, we're
Right.
going to help them.
That's refreshing to know that.
Yeah, we're not going to turn them away and say, hey, you live 2 miles outside the border. We're not going to help you.
Redlining.
Yeah.
No, that.
But we want them to shop here,
No, s-
and then
No, sir,
and
yeah.
find the phone number and then call.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is we would need the city to, so we provide you all the materials. We would hope that the communications department here would send us out at least quarterly.
Yeah.
So that the residents know that this resource is available and that you're investing in their anonymity and their privacy for access.
So that touches on my next question, if I may, Mr.
Okay, go
Mayor.
ahead.
Mr. Gupta, you okay?
Oh, I got one more
Because
for
it's
you.
got the table.
Yes, sir.
It's,
You know, one of the things that was really impressive to me, and I'm sure it was to you, when you told, you did a little bio on yourself of how your background and how the wheels came off.
Sir.
Do that again for us, because that really made a difference in how I view what you're doing. You were in a very raised in a stable situation. You didn't come out of a homeless room, a house, and explain how this can happen to anybody.
Well, just to, put in percent, my father's an endowed chair at the University of Southern California, right up the street here. I got my MBA from USC, but in 2012, I was suicidal, depressed. I had no real sense of purpose, and I turned to drugs and alcohol to feel better. Lost everything, and was homeless for 3 months. And then so my parent, I grew up in a pretty good neighborhood and a good family upbringing. Grew up in East Los Angeles, and then my parents moved to Hacienda Heights when I was in high school. It was my journey. And so my parents had one hell of a time trying to find help for me. And they have one of the best PPOs in the state. And they know a lot of people. For them to go through what they went through, it was not a pleasant experience. Put me into 90 days rehabilitation program. And I kind of went on and off into services for about a year, and then finally turned things around and launched the service.
Great.
So
That really helped me understand, how this is meant for everyone.
I appreciate you saying that.
Right.
Thanks.
All right, that's all I have.
all right, thank you, Councilmember Coops. Councilmember Sanchez, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As mentioned, so it's going to fall on us to, one, make sure that this program is beneficial to the community and accessible. So what's that going to look like for us? And that's a question for staff. Are we going to allocate
That's
a
a
budget,
challenge.
a marketing budget?
Yeah,
Are
we're
we
going to have
allocating-
to. We're going to have to work harder to get this out. We have our usual sources, the newsletter, website, et cetera, and all the other marketing tools that we have, mostly through economic development. We start from there, but I think we got to think about how we're going to publicize this thing. A lot of it's going to develop from word of mouth as we go forward on it, but frankly, that is something we have to think about.
So when we talk, okay, so bear with me. I don't know how to do this part, but here I go. I'm going to try my best. So one of my concerns that I have is I tried doing some homework on this with regards to the school district, and no one seems to know who this is or
Yeah.
who you are
I
or who
don't,
this
you know,
program is.
I'm looking at this and to be honest with you, I don't know if I don't think we're working with Bellflower Unified. I just pulled it up. I don't think we're working with them. But we're working with all the neighboring school districts. In Los Angeles County, there's 81 school districts. We work with 77 of them, and Bellflower is not one of them. So otherwise it would have pulled up. So we're not working with Bellflower Unified, but I deducted the student population out of there.
And you said you're working with Downey?
Yeah, we're working at Downey Unified School District. Superintendent's John Garcia there.
Right.
Yeah. What's that? Paramount? Yeah. Yeah, we're not, I thought we were, but it's not pulling, it didn't pull up, so I don't have the data on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I should be recused from this item. But, so I work for a children's mental health nonprofit.
Oh, you do?
Yes, and we have contracts and we have MOUs with most of the school districts that you mentioned,
Wonderful.
including Long Beach, including Paramount, Downey, and so forth. I didn't reach out to the other school districts because I didn't know that you had, contracts with those.
Yeah,
It's two different services. So we employ about 52, 53. Actually, we came up on your search engine right now.
yeah,
I also reached out to my case management team who handles the intake line,
yeah,
and they've never heard of you.
Yeah.
So it draws flags for me.
sure.
I'm not questioning the work that you're necessarily doing, but
Sure.
it was
let me-
presented as if you were present and already very involved.
Yeah, these are all the school districts in Los Angeles County that we're under contract with. So 75 of the 81.
And the reason I'm sharing where I'm processing from is
sir.
more so I don't want it to be another thing that we pay $100,000 for and doesn't get used. If that makes sense, that's where I'm coming from.
Amen. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' dollars, right?
I totally agree. The only reason why I got into this, just it's a great question. There's people in Bellflower right now. I just pulled up 34 of them that used our service. I don't know how they used our service, but they did. They live in Bellflower. There's 34 people that needed to get services, and we helped them. I don't know who they are,
Yeah.
but there's the single greatest thing in mental health is one of the biggest barriers is trying to find supports.
Right.
There's very few people that know, you know what, I'm going to call the county and I'm going to go through a local agency. They just don't know who exists. They don't know who's available, who's accessible. So what we've done through the school systems since 2018 was to provide our service and get it in the hands of families so that they can navigate and they can get access to services without having to do it themselves.
Right.
And that's the biggest issue is trying to navigate on your own is a nightmare.
And
So-
I totally get
Yeah.
that. I understand that. I understand that side.
Yes, sir.
I also have relationships with the Whole Child and with several others nonprofits that do the line of work that we're talking about. The people that you're referring to,
Yeah.
right? Sukasa, any domestic
Yeah,
violence and so forth.
Sucasa's, yeah, has been around a long time.
Yeah, I think for my colleagues, right now where I'm coming from is more so, I think that this is gonna have to be more of a package deal, this is a service that they're providing, by the way, very user-friendly.
Thanks, man.
I'll
Thank
give you those,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
very user-friendly. The question is, are we gonna purchase something and then bookshelf it, or how are we gonna use it? So I think those are the details that we really need to figure out.
No, we do. I mean, we have to sort out how we're going to publicize this in addition to the methods that we use, which we have a fair penetration on how it's, on the information getting out. But we, at a minimum, Travis just told me, we could do a mass mailer and it'd cost us between $6,000 and $8,000 to do a mass mailer at every household, which would help get the word out too. I'm not that concerned about getting the word out, but I do have share your concerns about who's actually going to use it and how much. And we'll see. And that's an unknown question until we actually try it. Someone
Right.
said, yeah.
And that's, I think you answered part of that question, is what are we gonna actually do to get the information out?
Sorry. At a minimum, I would want to double down, if we're going to do this, and double down on the investment, and actually get the information out every way we could possibly.
Right.
And it would have to be with the mass mailer, and then the additional information we get out online, et cetera, and on the different social media sources that we use on that. So
Okay,
that's what it
very
gets down
good.
to.
Well, I think it's going to be all hands on deck in terms of promoting it. We need to do a better job. Yeah. We got service clubs that we can reach out to.
I mean, I wish I could tell you, this is all fairly new stuff, as you know, and I don't have all the answers on, but I do believe we can get the word out. And we're going to find out whether it's going to be used pretty quickly or not.
And one important segment that we cannot ignore is the churches.
Absolutely.
The church is a huge
Absolutely.
part of Bellflower. So we need to reach out to them too.
Sorry, religious institutions, but okay. yeah.
Religious institutions.
But yes, you're correct, yeah.
Buildings of assembly.
It's a 1-year contract with quarterly reports, correct?
Monthly
Yes.
reports.
Monthly
Monthly.
reports, so we
Yes,
can
sir. You get
evaluate
monthly.
how it's
Every
performing.
month you'll be able to evaluate, and it's a 1-year pilot.
I sure wish you would have done your homework on that Bellflower Unified School District. I mean, you're really doing good with me until you didn't do your homework, man. I mean, you're in this town, and this is our schools,
Yeah,
and you
amen.
said you had it, and I
I
believe
thought I
you.
did. I
mean,
thought I
of
did.
all things to know or not know,
Yeah.
that's pretty damn important.
Yeah, I thought I did, but these are all the districts we actually work with. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
You know, it's hard to defend you when
Yeah.
you didn't get it right.
Yeah.
And it was the simplest
Well, I
question we
appreciate
had.
that. Yeah, I appreciate it. We're getting it right in Los Angeles, I'll tell you that. We've been
Well,
around for
I don't
5
care
years.
about Los Angeles. I care about Bellflower.
Yeah, I understand. Makes sense. Good point.
All right, Councilmember Dunn,
Yeah,
your turn.
thank you. Do you have any other municipalities or cities?
City of Whittier.
That was it, that's the
Yeah, just signed
standalone,
up with
okay.
us. City of Whittier.
They just
Going
started
to
up?
council June 22nd with the city of Montebello.
Can we look at some of their data?
City of Whittier, we're just launching.
Oh, you're just launching, okay,
Just started.
just launching, okay, got
Yes,
it.
sir. Yeah,
There's no doubt.
because we've been in school districts, so in California, there's 6 million K through 12 public education students.
Mhm.
We service 4 million of them in the state of California. And so that's how we started. And now we're because of our success with K through 12, we're launching now into cities.
Got it. On the reports that we had, you had that nice report that looked very well.
Yeah.
They didn't have any, I didn't see any category of duplicated services or repeat customers. And is that tracked, or is it?
When you mean on the impact
Well,
report?
I would, yeah, on the impact report, well, I would think somebody could sign up and start doing a program and say, do one for like 3 months, and then 6 months later, they're back in it again. You know what I mean?
The
Frequent flyers.
recidivism?
Yeah, frequent flyers, or?
Yeah, I hear you.
Lack
Yeah,
of better
all of
terms.
these,
Repeat customers.
We don't measure the recidivism. We
Okay.
measure the unique users that use this system. That's what we do today.
But there's
In
no
answer to
data
this
on.
question, if somebody uses it once, they call back 6 months later, use it again.
We track that.
So that you don't repeat that number of the individual access.
No, we repeat that in the total number, but not in the unique number.
So it'll get
There's two
counted as
separate
two.
numbers.
One person could get counted as 2 or 3 or 4.
That's right.
Depends on how many times a year they.
That's
Okay.
exactly right. Exactly. Exactly.
On the warm handoff that you have, and I would guess that could be, I vision it as maybe a public
show you.
safety issue where it could be city staff saw somebody huddled up in fetal position under a porch of some commercial building, and they were talked to, or we have other services, religious services, or would go there and get them, and then the sheriff would come and whatever. So is that what you mean by a warm handoff? Is
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're only going to go if they want to go.
Yeah,
Oh,
so the
absolutely.
warm handoff is let's say I'm Parks and Rec, and I see somebody that's
Mhm.
unhoused, and I know they need supports. They would literally log into our system or text us that particular individual's name, phone number if they have a point of contact, and deliver that information to us. We would respond within 15 minutes to that person that did the warm handoff and help triage that particular case and get that person into services.
So you have a service with this as to come and help at a situation that's immediate.
Yes, sir.
So you have, some vans, I guess, and you said 15 minutes. That's
15 minutes is our service level in terms of
that is
responding.
very good.
Yeah.
to show up in 15 minutes.
We don't drive out there.
Oh,
Yeah, well, no, they
Oh.
do a warm handoff to us. We find the
a
services.
service and communicate with that.
And then
it's up to
that person has to be transported into the agency
somehow.
that we find.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I understand now.
Yes, sir. If it's any resident, a housed individual, and they need services, they're gonna drive there to the service, or somebody's gonna drive in there, that a service that we've identified that's ready to take them right now.
Does your services ever get asked upon through the court system?
Yes.
Okay, so the
Okay,
court
yeah,
does know
we-
about you?
Yeah, in Los Angeles County, we've had over 100,000 cases, juvenile and court cases, that were required court ordered.
Just juvenile or all ages?
All adults,
ages,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and it just, so court ordered.
Okay. And how do you handle veterans? Is there
Yeah,
priority?
So
or-
veterans is a couple different ways, so.
You have other
veterans-
services for
Veterans
them.
have free and sliding
Right.
scale services
Got it.
through the veterans insurance,
Right.
so we find those services for them.
It's a little easier probably to help a veteran than somebody else because of the,
Yeah,
because
you'd
of
be
the
surprised.
services?
It's actually, I mean, it's still pretty difficult. I mean, there's only so many veteran types of services that accept that type of insurance. So typically, we have to go outside of the insurance plan and find free and sliding scale services to get the veteran into services.
Got it.
So there's only so many free and sliding scale services, but we're able to do it. We're able to get them into services.
I get it, and I'm sure everybody in this room gets it, that help is needed for all shapes and sizes of the human being. But there's a particular one that, as an elected of the city, that we always get beat up on, are the ones that will hang out in a certain territory, and it could be close to a neighborhood, and every one of those cars that leave to go to work see them in person, and every one of those cars when they come home see that person. And these
Yeah.
are the perpetual offenders, I guess I could, lack of better terms, that are there, and it just seems to matter what we do. If, you know, we spend a lot of money, as you know, to
Yeah.
try to find a solution for it, and that's why we're talking to you, because nothing's working.
Yeah.
Nothing works. We threw millions of dollars at this, and nothing is really working. So we're trying to find a better way. So when the courts don't help for the mental avenue, we
Yeah.
know, we obviously, you don't have to be a licensed mental facility to know that some of these people are virtually crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't. It's common sense. And so the sheriff comes or whatever, and if that person is fortunate enough to get taken to jail and go through the judicial system, he's released before 24 hours and never
Right.
goes to court.
Correct.
You got any ideas?
Yeah, what he's asking is, so he's talking about the homeless population mainly,
Yeah.
it's people out the street. So
Yeah.
if they don't actually want to access it, we can't make them access it,
No,
right?
they have to, in the state of California, you have to be willing, unless you're 5150.
Right.
So if you're 50, so I'll give you an example. If an unhoused person is 5150, then it's warm-handed off to us. We work with the hospital to work on a discharge plan to transfer that person from the hospital to ongoing safety net services through the warm handoff process.
Yeah.
Part and parcel with what we were talking about, the sheriff's department with the MET units, they're coming in, we're gonna share the cost, but the county's informed us we can't get those MET units right now. So this is becoming even a harder nut, because
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying is, I don't know how to get to those
Yeah.
people, I mean.
But yeah, and that's why I asked, you work with the judicial system, because obviously you're in their computerized Rolodex
Yeah.
that you're on a call list of maybe for help and services that the judicial system can use.
Yep, and then they send us those cases, and our job is to find those cases for those court-ordered, individuals. And then our job is to report back if they're still in services.
People that go to, I guess I know Victor probably knows how this navigates, but county mental health facility that is overbooked and crowded, and you got to wait to get in or whatever. The question that I want to ask is, do you help getting some of those people that go there for 5150 and they come out for other services, so they don't, outpatient care or whatever, and when they find out they have insurance at that level, I guess there's continuing help.
Yeah, let me show you this data.
I guess if City of Bellflower had someone 5150 go to the county hospital, and before he gets out, if you're our guy for services, we can kind of work with you to.
Then our job on
help
the
that person out.
5150 is to work with the hospital to triage that case, update you all, and then make sure that person has safety net services. That's what we do. And this is a real data point in LA County from our total, almost 1 million cases, but 52.6% is for individual therapy. And then 16.1% is for psychiatry. You look at hospitalization, is this analytic here, almost about a little more than 1%. And then you look at intensive outpatient, residential services, and those types of services, more intensive pathways built in here. So this is all the data points within LA County and types of pathways of services.
Is addiction on a different category?
Yeah, substance use disorder is considered IOP,
I don't see it.
PHP, and residential.
I don't see substance abuse anywhere up there, I don't think. I'm not reading.
Yeah, substance use, this is just, I'm showing you mental health. This is the
Oh, mental health,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm showing you mental health, but we do have substance use disorder is one of the biggest
That's
issues for us.
categorized different because one brings the other.
Some of them
Yeah.
it's dual diagnosis. Some of them is just substance use, SUD only. Some of it's just mental health only. Some of it's dual diagnosis.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting an education. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
more than I
No,
bargained
I
for.
appreciate
But
it.
I've been trying to wrap my head around this for a long time, so just bear with me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there another graph you wanted to show?
No, this just
Okay.
looks at, private and public and no insurance. It looks at, we look at, age and gender, ethnicity.
I thought you had a data for substance abuse. Already, no?
Not on this sheet.
No,
I
I
just did mental health. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But I can give you a report for substance use disorder in Los Angeles County if you want. I can send that to you.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, I can send that to you, sir. No problem.
Yeah, that answers my questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Councilmember
Appreciate
Danton. Any other question? Okay, Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, would you mind pulling up that search you did for the 7-year-old one more time?
Yeah. Yes, I think here it is.
If you don't, yeah, scroll, what is, like, if you were to click on Community Family Guidance Center, what does check availability do there?
Yeah, then what it does is it allows you to communicate with our team
Okay,
live, which I just showed you.
got it.
When
got
that
it.
gal came up, I think her name was Marcia.
And then
she's-
they reach out to the agency?
Yeah, no, then they see their wait time and availability in our back end, and they actually book the appointment right on the spot.
So how do you get that information?
Through an email intake process. So we get,
The availability.
we get that because the resident's calling us right now. The family's calling us.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the anonymous pathway where they call us, email us, text us for help, or they search on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And if they engage with the care companion takes that call, answers between 15 and 20 seconds.
Right, I saw that. That was a
Yep.
quick response.
Yep.
For
and
your
then-
team.
Yep, and then once that search happens,
Mm-hmm.
all the email intakes go out where they can accept or reject cases. And they update their wait time and availability to all the agencies.
So the agencies on the other side have communicated with you and have access to your system?
Correct. And those that do not, the care companion, if they have a longer wait time than greater than 3 days, the care companion have to manually call those agencies to see if they have any availability on behalf of the person in need. Yeah, so one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to actually do the heavy lift so that family member doesn't have to Google search
Yeah.
or call themselves, especially call the 211 or county
Yeah.
hotline, because they're given a directory, and then they have to pick up the phone and dial 20 providers. They just don't have the, and they give up in that process. So
Absolutely.
we felt like if the agencies in the back end accept or reject, so we know that if they don't accept or reject, or they have a longer wait time than 3 days, then they have to, we will manually call for you until we find an appointment. That's how that works.
So they'll go through the list of proximities?
They'll go through this list, all this list, until they get that person an appointment.
Oh, okay, I see Helpline Youth Center there too, okay.
Yeah, so they go through all of this list until they find the available appointment.
Very good.
And there's Whole Child there, I think you mentioned Whole Child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Councilmember Coops?
So I got a question of Victor. Victor, when you inquired about this organization with your organization, were they aware, or did they make you aware of the fact that you're one of the suppliers for him?
To be frank, no, my team has, and we serve 28 cities.
But nobody in your office knows about his organization.
My we have 4 case intake lines. We have a SAT team, what we call Service Access Team, and we have it's a 5-member team, and no, none of them. So, and
Can you
we,
explain that, why?
yeah, I mean, there's certain providers that use us religiously,
Yeah.
and certain providers that don't want, they don't want to integrate with us. So we have to manually call them and book an appointment manually. It's not automated.
I think that's Victor's concern, is that this whole mental deal has got a shortage of people that can do the work.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
when you take a call and you've got a list of people that can be useful, there may be a good chance that you're not gonna be able to get a good result as quickly as you had promised.
That's not true.
Okay, that's a
Yeah,
concern.
it's 3.5 days in Los Angeles County for us to get a resource, find a resource. It's 7 total days from the time they contact us to actually enroll them into the service.
That's correct.
3.5 to 7 days.
And that
That-
is
that's-
correct.
Okay,
We're not allowed to have, you're not allowed to have a waiting list. You have to get them into service. So I
Sir.
agree with that.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
what we would do is so Marcia would log on to the back end of these providers. Those that accept and reject cases, she'll enroll them. If they don't accept or reject the case, she's gonna have to manually, on behalf of that resident, call Shields for Families, Dr. Eugene Young, call up the whole child to say, hey, my name's Marcia. I got a call from the city of Bellflower. I have a resident need. Can you handle this case? I have a 44-year-old female. She's on Medi-Cal. She's dealing with a dual diagnosis situation. She has substance use disorder. She has this. You know, can you help her? I just pre-screened her. Can you help us? And then that case manager of that facility is going to say, yeah, I can see him. Then we don't have any appointments available for another 6 days. But we would at least start the process so the person's not waiting.
that's our concern, I think, and I share what he's saying. Once we have, if we go forward with what the program you're presenting,
Sir.
I want to make sure that we know you're not the provider, but you're the conduit to whatever is necessary.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want anyone from our community coming in here and say, you know, that was a farce. We really didn't get any service.
Yeah.
You know, and you did your part. You referred them, but there was nowhere that was viable to get them where they needed to be.
Yeah, and I think the impact report is going to answer that question for you real quick. So you're going to get a real data impact report every month, and you're going to determine how many people have used the service, how many people actually enrolled in services.
And I think one of the concerns that was brought forward is how many cities have done this? You're really into the school districts.
Yeah.
When we met with you, you were going to Lakewood to make your presentation there. And I think your goal is to try to make a presentation to almost all the cities in around this area, correct?
Yes, sir, because we've been focused at the superintendent and director of student services level at school systems in California. And as a result of that work since 2018, where cities are now say, can you expand services into our general population? So we decided to take a look at that, and we're in the early stages of launching in the state of California there.
Okay,
So that's why this would be a 1-year pilot to measure that.
okay.
Yes,
Because
sir.
if we do this, we're kind of an innovator.
Yes, sir.
We're not a lagger. We're out in front.
Or the guinea
Yeah,
pigs.
right. Well,
and
I want to call it innovator. And then
Yeah,
there's
yes, sir.
laggers, in marketing.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if we do it, a year goes by and say, any other city that would call us, say, man, it's one of the best things we ever did across the constituency.
Or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
we look at ways that we don't want to get stung on it either, because we're out there
Amen.
doing something we've never done before. But I can see the usefulness of it.
Amen.
I mean, if we save one life, if we save one child beating, if we save, it's like, I'm thinking like you. I mean, the $100,000 is pittance.
Chad,
I've been doing this since 2018.
Uh-huh.
I can say that you will not be let down. I know
Well,
that for a fact.
That's my concern. I want to
I
be able to
understand.
prove to the Bellflower, we've offered a service that
Yeah.
you don't get in every city.
one
Amen.
last question.
Yeah.
Mr. Dutton brought it up. Do you have a relationship with LASA and dealing with the homeless community? Because this is part of it, no doubt.
We do now.
You
Yeah,
do
I mean,
now.
we do now. They're a brand new interface to us. So we actually warm hand off. We're gonna have to warm hand off a lot of our cases to them, so they can help us enroll into students or mental unhoused services in Los Angeles County. So we now they're a new provider in our infrastructure from a social services standpoint.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll move on. Are you ready to accept staff recommendation at this point or not?
So how are we going to do this? You're going to need a motion, and we're going to go through the votes? or-
No, we're gonna give them direction.
All right.
Direction.
All right, I'll make a motion for a 1-year contract.
I'll second the motion.
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it too late to use any of that federal money?
Do we have $100,000 in ARPA money that we can use for this, Jim, or have we tied it all up?
Can we reallocate? And my follow-up question.
Yeah, my brief conversation with Tay on the way to the podium here, it's all allocated, but he did mention the drug education money as a possibility.
We can reallocate.
We do have a fund for that. We have, through the cannabis
But
fund,
I'm
we
not,
can
I
use
think
that.
he's one.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And we have enough to do
Is
it.
there enough? That was it.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Coop, seconded by the mayor.
Can I amend my motion?
What's your motion again?
Instead of doing a year, do 6 months, can he do 6 months?
Can you do 6 months?
We haven't done 6 months before.
But
May
we
not.
are the innovators.
Yeah, I'm happy to do 6 months.
All right, my amendment is a 6-month contract.
6 months contract. Okay, all right. No, less than half.
Well, yeah, we're finding other money and we're doing it in half the time. I mean, we're getting down to where he's gonna be paying for it pretty soon.
We're innovating.
Yeah.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Mayor Santenaz.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, item 4B, do we have time, Mr. Stewart?
Can we do this in 15 minutes? Let's do it in 15 minutes. Let's
Okay,
make it work.
all right.
I think you're asking the wrong side of the dais.
Yeah.
All right.
Minus
Is this
83.
Enterprise?
Yeah.
We'll start at 81.
Yeah. The history of trucks.
Yeah, don't do that. Go back to the T. Go back to the Model T.
I think
All right, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Tonight, I was just going to bring to you an item for consideration. We are looking at some of our options as it relates to our process of purchasing fleet vehicles here in the city. So I'm gonna give you just a kind of quick overview on how we do it, what we got going on, and what our inventory looks like. Then I'm gonna turn it over to Zeke Jenkins from Enterprise Fleet Management, and I'll let him run you guys through the program here. So our existing fleet currently, we have 46 units that are classified as light and medium duty. These are the SUVs all the way through the public works pickup trucks that are used on a daily basis here in the city. 26 of these vehicles are over 15 years in age, with a handful of them at or near 100,000 miles. In fact, we have one of them that predates 1998 airbag standards, and then we have 21 of these units that predate the 2007 anti-lock brake standards. The majority of the fleet is aged to the point that in many cases, the annual cost of maintaining each unit can exceed its salvage value. This is a lot of numbers here real quick to look at, but basically this is a list of the 26 vehicles I was just going through right here. The important ones highlighted in orange, that's our net value of each one of those vehicles after you look at the initial purchase price minus the depreciation. Several of these, for instance, the first one right there, 1996 Ford Ranger, that's 27 years old. It's been operating here in the city for 27 years, still rolls to this day. The total maintenance cost on that same unit is right around $8,800. I think what's important to note here when you're kind of looking at these numbers is the fact that these records started in 2012. So for that 1996 vehicle, I have roughly 13, 14 years worth of maintenance cost and repairs that we had to do that I have no record of. So that 8,800 number is more than likely significantly higher than that for that vehicle. So real quick, the current way we purchase vehicles is we go through the standard RFP process. The staff defines the type of vehicle that we want. We develop a spec for it, and then we send it out to the local dealers. Once we get the pricing, it goes to City Council for approval. The lowest bid is awarded the respective dealer. The order is subsequently placed and delivery date is estimated. As everyone knows, last 4 or 5 years, which is kind of what kicked off this whole search of is there other ways to do things. The delivery dates and the inventory that's available is just really slow. Prices are high. A lot of the dealers don't have vehicles when we're putting some of the bids out. And as far as the way we surplus vehicles through a third-party action service at the end of their useful life. This, for us, averages around 18 years. And just a quick snapshot, these are the last 5 vehicles that we have surplus here in the city. They all tend to be around 18, 19 years of age. You can see the original purchase prices reflect that when you used to be able to give a Chevy 2500 truck for $21,000. The depreciation of that one leaves us with a net value of around $1,000. And when we put it to auction, it auctioned out and we got back $1,100 for that vehicle. So that's typically what happens when we hold on to these vehicles for a very long time. When we do finally take them to auction, they have little or no value whatsoever that comes back to us. So for the past several months, staff has researched options to improve the status quo of vehicle acquisition here in the city, as factors such as high vehicle pricing, lack of vehicle availability, and long-term times can make it difficult at times. A review of the fleet replacement programs in surrounding areas, we found that a lot of the cities have switched off to an open lease program that they've implemented. When I talked to some of my counterparts in the other cities, they turned me on to enterprise fleet management. And I started working with the representative who's here this evening about the type of program that they could present for us. So we've spent several meetings working on something to kind of come up with a pilot program as well as a look at a long-range program. And that's where we're sitting right now. So I'm going to turn this over to Zeke Jenkins from Enterprise. He's got a couple pictures for you guys to take a look at and slides and info, and feel free to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for the time this evening.
You're wearing a tie.
You know, at Enterprise, I've been with Enterprise for 17 years. And up until about a year before COVID, you had to wear a white shirt and a tie and a suit every day, but on Fridays you could wear a blue shirt. But Monday through Thursday, it had to be white and a tie.
Well, Len wears it every day, so.
Okay, so in the essence of time, I'm going to kind of start at a 50,000 foot view, and then I'll get to some of the stuff I presented to help you understand kind of what the secret sauce is. Like, let's just go behind and what's the recipe for the In-N-Out sauce, right? And Len kind of finished with the resale piece. And that's really where the secret sauce is for Enterprise. So a typical city, and Enterprise kind of stumbled on this through how we make our business work, right? And if you think about Enterprise as a rent-a-car company, we own about 1.2 million rental vehicles. And we're cycling out of those vehicles pre-COVID at about 12 to 14 months. Post-COVID, it's had to stretch a little longer because relatively speaking, like everybody else, we can't get the inventory of vehicles that we want, relatively speaking, right? So what we learned through our business, right, is that if you look at what Enterprise pays for a vehicle up front, right, we're buying the vehicle far below its market value because of how many vehicles we buy, right? About 30% below the market value, or 30% less than, say, the retail public. Now, a rental car, we're gonna drive it about 30,000 miles a year, right? And it's gonna have the bejeebies beat out of it, right? Wreck it like a rental, as everybody says. But because we own that rental car, every dollar we get on the back end is $1 to our bottom line. And we started in a car dealership in St. Louis, and we grew through dealerships and body shops and auto malls, if you will. We did not get into airports, into the travel world until the 80s, right? And still today, 70% of the Enterprise business is the home city market, body shops, dealerships, so forth. Your car is being repaired and you need a rental. So what's the point of that story? Well, Point of that story is we avoid the auction because you can see the dismal results. It's not just that the vehicles are very, very old, but the auction, it goes through the auction block in about 30 seconds, and the highest bidder takes it, right? And that's it. So Enterprise, what we did, and it was by accident, because we started in a dealership, why would we go to the auction? When we're done with it, we just worked out a deal with the used car side of that dealership. And if that dealership didn't want it, we knocked on the door of the one next to it until we found a buyer and skipped the auction altogether. Well, we still do it that way today. So on the back end, Enterprise has over 800 people that manage a territory in every, county, state, city, if you will, and they manage the used car relationships. And we still hand sell our vehicles the same way back to the dealerships, skipping the auction and creating our own private bidding, if you will. And those dealerships, because we are local and because we are present, they have a trust relationship. If there's an issue with the rental car, we take it back, and so forth. So the point of that is we're very, very good at selling used cars because we're in these dealerships servicing them on the front end. We have those relationships. And every dollar we get on the back end for that used car is $1 to our bottom line. And when we sell the vehicles is also very important, right? Because we have to manage that depreciation. What we're trying to do is find the lowest total cost of ownership for Enterprise, right? And because we buy so many cars and the way they're used, our sweet spot is generally around 1.5 years. So
And
how does
that-
that translate to government?
Yes,
Go
and
ahead.
that's the city how.
So this translates to the city how. Because of the state of California contracts, Sourcewell and other contracts, the city, even if you buy just one vehicle a year, you're getting discounts or subsidies from the manufacturer off the state contract where you're buying them not quite as cheap as Enterprise, but still far below their market value, okay? And especially if we're able to factory order the vehicle, we're getting it directly from the factory at factory invoice with no markups, and that's the Sourcewell contract. The advantage, so what's the advantage that cities have that's even better than Enterprise? Typical city drives 4,000 to 7,000 miles per year on a white iron fleet vehicle, right? We're not talking emergency services, things like that. We're just talking about your public works, your parks and rec, your street vehicles. Actually, for Bellflower, based on the data that Len had provided, you're doing about 3,700 miles annually. So in year 3, year 4, year 5, we can turn around and sell, well, in today's world, because the resale market's crazy, we can turn around and sell the vehicle for more than it cost you initially. Pre-COVID times, we recoup maybe 90, 95%, 85%, depending on the type of vehicle, what it is, and where the miles are, right? We're able to still recoup majority of the vehicle's value. What I want to show you here, that's a key, rather than go to the fluff stuff, let me just show you actual results, right? So here's the city of San Marcos. This was a 2016 Ford F-250, regular cab, 8-foot truck, typical public works vehicle. Okay, they kept this vehicle in service for 66 months. It had 31,704 miles on it when they turned it in. Okay, you can see what the cost of the vehicle was when we delivered it to them. So brand new, it was $28,689, and it likely had a light bar on it or some toolboxes, typical city vehicle, right? What they owed, what was left on the loan. And so one thing to point out, these are not leases like you do on a BMW or Mercedes, right? Where there's mileage restrictions, wear and tear, early term. These are basically just finances to a book value. They're called municipal leases or open-end equity leases, right? So the majority of your payment is principal. Think of it, it's really no different than a finance from that perspective, other than you're not financing it to zero, you're financing it to a book value, right? Now, this city kept the vehicle longer. The longest term we write is 60 months. So when you see that it's longer, it means they decided to keep it. They didn't want to turn it in for whatever reason. They kept it a little bit longer. But anyway, when they did turn it in at 66 months, this was what was left on the loan. We sold it on July 20th, 2021 for $30,250 versus what they paid for it. Now again, we're a little upside down on the world at that time because of the supply chain stuff. But you net out what they owe on the loan, and then that was their gain back, the difference of $27,143. Now the other key aspect of what the municipal lease allows in the state of California, you pay tax. When you do a finance or a purchase, you're paying tax on the full value of the vehicle up front. When it's an open-ended equity lease, you're paying tax monthly because you're paying tax based on the value of the vehicle you're using. So when we sell the vehicle, you get your tax back on that equity position because you didn't use that value. Enterprise will process that for the city. It takes about 90 days to process that with the state and for you to get your sales tax credit back. So that's what this 2,087 is, right? It's just 7.75% on the 27,000. I believe Bellflower is 10.25 sales tax. So your rate would be, you would, at your rate, you'd be looking at $2,700, a little over $2,700 on that. So you're gonna pay significantly less tax by taking advantage of this. And then there's some selling fees and charges when we have to go dispose of the vehicle. That was $205, it gets netted out. So the net back to the city of San Marcos was $29,026. And I printed out this as well as an example from Westminster. It's a city that's been using this for quite some time, and I'll leave these with Len if he wants to distribute to him and have them.
Can you
So-
explain to me, I mean, I'm not so clear in terms of how much did the city of San Marcos pay Enterprise?
So, yeah, so this document is just talking about the resale aspect.
Okay.
What they were billed in depreciation is $25,982.61, and then obviously whatever they paid in lease charge. Sorry? Yes, on the actual lease quotes that city manager would sign if approved, it spells out the depreciation versus the lease charge for the total monthly payment and then the tax.
So
It's
in
all
this
line
case,
item.
the city of San Marcos wrote you a check, Enterprise, amounting to 25,982 and some
They-
change,
Yeah, they made.
plus the initial deposit initially, or
Yeah, they made 66 monthly payments
Right.
totaling 25,000?
for depreciation. That does not, this part doesn't show what they paid in
well, I
total
see.
payment, because there's obviously an interest factor. in
Yeah,
the
can you
management
show how
fee.
much they paid?
I don't have that
Oh, you
in
don't?
front of
So
me.
how do you
How
calculate
much
what
do
the
they
city
pay for the
pays?
vehicle?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. How much, I mean,
So there's an exact quote. So I started in the reverse N about the resale to kind of explain the secret sauce, right? So in the analysis that we provided, which is built from, and I'll open this up in a second. The analysis that we provided where it talks about the lease charges, that comes directly from the vehicles we're quoting for Len. So I've provided to Len the exact monthly payment, the quotes that break down exactly what the payment is, how much is depreciation versus how much is your interest and how much is tax. So yes, that is provided
So
in the
that's in the
contract.
package.
so, hold on.
Correct.
So you come up with a monthly lease that's open-ended. The city has the option to keep the car for as many months as they want to, and it's based on a monthly payment that you establish, which I assume you amortize over X amount of years, or you don't care. I mean, how do you establish the price that's being, the monthly price paid by the city?
It's simply what the Sourcewell acquisition price of the vehicle, so you're with your contract,
Gotcha.
if it's factory ordered, it's manufacturer invoice, less the government
So that's a
incentives.
fixed number.
That's a fixed number.
So you can pick from that list and take whatever you want or don't want from that, right?
Yep, and then we're typically depreciating at 1.35% every month,
1.35, that was my answer.
typically. Unless
So
we do a shorter term.
That's
by
your,
term
that's your estimated appreciation or depreciation on the vehicle. So on an open-ended lease, there's no closed-end total on that. So the city doesn't have the right to buy the vehicle out at the end of the lease or fixed amount. So,
No, yes, you do.
okay.
Yes,
And
correct.
that's specified in the agreement that we have the right to buy it out
Yep,
at the
right
end.
there on the lease contract, it
Gotcha.
tells you what the book value is.
All right,
Yep.
so, and that's, obviously, that's a formula based on 1.35%.
depreciation.
Got you.
Yep.
All right, that makes sense.
And your typical lease is 60 months?
For government, correct.
Government.
We'll do some, the more innovative cities that realize that we can basically deliver them a vehicle and 1 year later, sell it for more than they paid for it. We'll do a 12 or 24, 36 month, but typically those cities have been with us for a few years, but they've seen us sell units for them before they start doing a shorter term.
Theoretically, the city could keep the vehicle for 18 years and depreciate the hell out of it and sell it for nothing.
And have
at
no
the
more
end.
payment,
Yeah, I
correct.
got you. Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
You could also, it is an open-ended lease, so every month you either are keeping it, paying it off, or turning it in. You can do that any single month. It is an open-ended lease. That's
By
the
basis of the comparison, what's the average retail lease on a vehicle coming out of a dealership? Is it, it's not 1.35%, I presume, or is it something else that they depreciate the vehicle on when they do that? You don't know.
I don't
Okay,
know,
just
because
charge-
that's
they
gonna
charge
determine, that's gonna be
interest.
based on the model, what
They
the
charge
markets are
interest.
doing, and so forth.
Can you put the other slide back up, the one that was previous to this?
Sure.
And so the city, or the delivered price was 28,689 and change.
Correct. That was the new
And
cost on the
Enterprise
acquisition.
paid that.
Yes,
Enterprise paid that, and then you have the 25,982 as a depreciation price, so you subtract that from the 28.
Correct, and that's how you get the reduced book value.
And the reduced book value, is that what the city paid at the end of the lease? The reduced book value?
If they wanted to buy it out, that's what
Oh,
was
if
left
they
on the
wanted to buy
loans.
it out.
Right,
Plus the service charge.
but when you turn it in, you owe that money, right? So
We
that's
owe what money?
3106, what's left on the loan.
Right.
Right.
Right,
When you
so-
turn it in, right.
Right, so it was, when they turned it in July of 2021, it was sold for 30,250. We have to take out what they owe on the loan,
Gotcha.
3106.
That was just, okay, for enterprise, okay.
Yep, so the net is 27,143.
That's the tax. So that's what that vehicle cost after they paid whatever they paid for 60 months.
Right, 27, the tax, this is the sales tax credit they get
right.
back, which 7.75% of 27. In Bellflower's case, it'll be 10.25% you're getting back on the equity.
But we don't know what they paid for the 60, what was the payment for, was it? a
Yeah, what's
monthly payment?
66
Correct,
months
correct.
times the amount each month? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be in your, this is a quote from 2016, that's.
No, but I mean, just
Yeah.
as an
What
example.
Example.
Yeah, the point of this slide was just to talk
Okay.
about resale.
No, that's
'cause we're talking
where
about-
you make your money. I'm more concerned
looking at the
about
total
what are
value.
we gonna spend every month, and you do it for 60 months. What
Correct.
what was the interest or whatever? You're not gonna give us a vehicle for free. I mean, we gotta
No.
pay that interest.
No,
I mean,
correct, yeah.
or the payment.
That's an easy calculation, though, when.
All right, then
when-
tell, if it's so easy.
So,
tell
well,
it
the
to me.
reason why is, I mean, the point is, he comes through with a list. Len wants an F-150, for instance, on that, I think. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm getting this. He wants an F-150 truck, comes in, and I want this truck. You get the quote, the vehicle price, et cetera, from the source you get it from. And then you have the monthly rate specified that we're gonna pay.
Correct.
Good or bad?
We have a spreadsheet that, I don't have that prepared for today.
But the point is, we don't
the
have to do it
analysis.
if we don't want to, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
I mean,
But we have a
that's the thing.
spreadsheet that lists the
See, our
payments for each
disadvantage,
vehicle.
we don't see the numbers, so we cannot.
Right.
So we want to see how much is being paid. That's,
Yeah.
Because what you presented sounded too good to be true. It's like, I'm all in. And now I ask questions,
Yeah.
and I don't know
Again,
if I'm all
sorry,
in.
so go back,
You're
we're gonna
not all
jump
in.
into it.
It only pays off, right now it's paying off because the market's high on the used car vehicles. So if it goes to hell.
Right.
And the value drops dramatically, you may say, yeah,
You're gonna hold them longer.
We're gonna ride or die, but if we have a fixed rate that's depreciated, and the vehicle's depreciated at 1.35%, the fixed rate becomes a loss leader at some point, right, on the payment?
Yeah, you can turn in the vehicle or keep it. Back in 08, 09, when the poop hit the fan, everybody kept their vehicles until the market rebounded, and then we sold them, right? Now, if you pay it all the way off, your payment ends.
But that's not a good deal, because you're paying the monthly rate on the value of the vehicle there. So for that period of time, you're hanging on to it, you're upside down on that vehicle, right?
No, you just financed it. You're just financing
Well,
the
that's
vehicle to
that
zero.
doesn't change
But-
anything, you're just financing and paying against a losing entity on that, right?
Well,
You're banking on the market rebounding, but there's no guarantee that it would. Presumably it will, but there's no guarantee.
sure, but then you're just back in the spot that you are
I understand,
now, which
I understand that, I'm just trying to say it's not a panacea. There's risk on both sides on that.
Oh, of course, of course. And that's why I said, if you look at, I said right now, the world is upside down in the resale market. Pre-COVID, we were recouping typically about 90% of the vehicle's original value, right, after 3 or 4 or 5
So
years.
the real comparison would be the cost of owning the vehicle for 18 years.
That's
Plus
what I'm
all
showing you here.
plus all the maintenance costs that
Yep.
go into that vehicle, minus whatever
So
we do
th-
otherwise.
This is what I'm gonna show you here. So Len provided the data, because it's not just, you also have to factor in your total cost of ownership from a hard dollar perspective is 3 buckets. Acquisition plus operations, which is mostly maintenance and fuel, minus resale dollars equals your total cost of ownership.
I don't know what you're gonna show next, but I think that the question the council is asking is, why don't we just buy it and finance it as opposed to pay a lease on it?
Right,
And
because
you're gonna have
then
to
you'll
show
end up
that
keeping
value.
vehicles for 27 years
I
again,
understand, yeah, I get it.
right? And
Yeah.
then, which is more expensive.
Yeah.
So what I'm showing you here, so just to answer the earlier question, in year 1, what Len was looking at doing is a pilot with 4 vehicles. The annual total of lease, of monthly payments, including interest, fees, taxes, depreciation, is $40,419. Because of some of the aftermarket equipment he's adding based on our Sourcewell contract, if aftermarket is over a certain price, there's a down payment on the aftermarket. That's what the $6,000 is. So there's a $6,000 down payment that goes towards offsetting the aftermarket cost. That's like the light bars, lift gates, things of that nature.
Can you go to present mode so we can see it a little bit closer? Please. Thank you.
So, but I'll come to that. So what is here's what the yellow line tells. Based on the data that Len provided, this is what we're saying, on average, your fleet budget looks like in those three buckets of acquisition plus operations minus resale. You do about 4 vehicles a year. Okay, you don't lease anything. To purchase those 4 vehicles would cost you about $203,000. You don't lease anything. Your maintenance cost on those vehicles, based on the data Len provided, is $63,015. Again, that maintenance data.
Is that on all or just the 4?
No, that's on your total fleet.
Total fleet, okay.
On the 49
All right.
vehicles, right? Now, that maintenance cost, again, that data goes back to 12 years. So it's a little bit incomplete because some of the vehicles have been around much longer than you've been actually capturing that data. Your fuel budget, now we estimated about 9 MPG based on the fleet age, and we used 4.25 for the cost of fuel. So on this group of vehicles we analyzed, your fuel budget's about $92,000. So you add the 3 together. On the group of vehicles we're analyzing, we're saying that your fleet budget's about $358,814, okay? What we're gonna do in year 1 is a pilot of 4 leased vehicles. So you own 45, you lease 4. The down payment is $6,000. The sum of the annual payments for the 4 vehicles is $40,419. The equity that we're getting back, there also note that this equity includes 2 vehicles that are severely underutilized. When we looked at the fleet list, there were 2 vehicles going less than 500 miles a year. They were 2 little vans. So we recommended that we should probably surplus those, and you could rent them off the state contract for very low price. If they're just used, once or twice a month, you could rent them for $30 a day or what have you off of the state contract. But you don't have to do that. But just this number includes surplusing a couple of underutilized. So then your maintenance budget drops because when you're going to reduce your cycle on the vehicles, our data says you're going to spend about $26.46 on average per month in maintenance versus what you're currently spending, which is $99 per month in maintenance by keeping them as long as you're keeping them. So by keeping these vehicles 5 years or less, you're drastically reducing your maintenance costs, right? So that's why you start to see the maintenance costs drop as you cycle out of the old ones and are having a younger fleet. Your fuel budget drops just a little bit because obviously a vehicle that's 20 years old did not get the same fuel economy as a brand new vehicle because of technology, transmissions, et cetera. So you're gonna start to see your fuel MPG increase. So in year 1, your fleet budget is now $182,000 instead of $358 for a savings of $176,000.
And how did you come up with the fleet budget?
I'm sorry?
How did you come up with that amount?
The yellow line represents the data provided from
the
Len.
column fleet budget. That column.
In this one?
The column fleet budget.
The
Second to the last column.
Right.
The 182.
How did you
So
come up with that?
fuel plus maintenance plus your purchase price.
Okay, all right.
Down here, it's the lease cost, because there's no purchases, you're not leasing, right? Less the equity, maintenance, fuel. It's calculated the same in every
Okay, all right.
right? Now, so obviously, in the first few years, as we get rid of the biggest offenders, the oldest ones, and you're not paying cash, you're leasing, which in the short run is easier on the budget, right? Monthly payments is easier than a full cash outlay early on. So the first 5 years shows this pilot group where we're doing 4 in year 1, 5 in year 2, 4 in year 3, and then 32 and 13, right? We show these chunks. Because what we're gonna do is over a 5-year period, get all of the light duty vehicles into the 5-year or less lease program. What we show next are the second 5 years, right? Because again, you see a large savings in the beginning because you're gonna lease these vehicles instead of purchase them. It's far cheaper annually in the sum of payments than purchasing it, right? So the numbers look really good. Well, then the numbers start to change once you're committed to a lease payment forever, right? Because if you get all, 49 vehicles into the program and you continue to renew it, you're gonna have a lease payment perpetually on all 49 vehicles. So we show you a second 5 years what the cost is, right? And there's some years where there's losers because you don't have as much equity to offset the cost, right? And understand one point to make clear why it's showing you that the estimated lease cost once fully implemented is $531,000 a year.
Okay, I didn't mean to
Hey,
cut you
see,
off.
I think we're gonna have to abort mission right now, on this one. I think
We're having a,
we have another meeting starting now.
Yeah, totally understand.
And I
At
don't
5:30.
think that we're gonna get to the point we need to tonight, and we have to bring this back another time. In the meantime, I'll get with Len. I think we need some more homework on this, and I need to do more, some specific vehicle-by-vehicle comparison and see the annual cost and the basis at the end of time on this, because I think I know where the council's going on this, and we're not gonna get our questions answered. You can sell the program, but I think we need to look at this vehicle-by-vehicle for the moment. So
Absolutely. We have
can
that
we get with you and then bring this back another
Yep,
day, sometime
totally.
next month, I think?
Yeah,
Someone do
not a
that?
problem.
Okay.
Just tell me
I
when.
appreciate it. Sorry to make this hard, but we're just not going to get there today.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I
You
think we
got it.
just didn't budget enough time to get this moving, you know?
we're just running out of time.
Yeah,
Yeah, not a
I
problem.
appreciate it, but
Okay.
thank
Not a
you.
problem.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So with that, this special meeting is adjourned. All right, let's switch on to regular meeting.
Yeah, let's go to the closed session, yeah.
That's what it comes out to. Right, because it's
You do that, and then we get food, and then go in there.
per year times
Yeah.
5.
Just open it while we're all
So you
here.
just divide it by 4.
All right.
4 cars. 11,000 per year.
I think I am ready, yes. Okay, all right. Good evening. The regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council is called to order on Monday, June 12, 2023, at 5:33 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dutton,
Here.
Councilmember Coops,
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamada, Mayor Santinas.
Here. Is there a motion to excuse the absence of Mayor Pro Tem Hamada?
Motion.
move.
Oh,
Motion by
Second.
Councilmember Sanchez this time. Seconded by Councilmember Coops to excuse the absence of Mayor Pro Tem Hamada without objection. That will be the order. Mr. Stewart, item.
There are three items listed. There
closed
really,
sessions.
yeah, there are three items listed. There are really two. One is Conference of Labor Negotiator, and we're talking about all 4 bargaining units of the city: ASPE Local 1511, BCEA Executive Assistants, BCEA Part-Time Community Service Officers, Part-Time Maintenance Workers, and ASPE Local 3745 Maintenance Workers and Community Services Officers. The next two items are basically one item, but we listed under belt and suspenders approach. It's anticipated litigation, one matter, and initiation litigation, one matter. And that's it.
Okay, does anyone have any conflicts? Nope, any recusals? Okay. Is there anyone in the public? There's no one
No,
in the
you
public
you
to
clean
speak,
them out.
so. All right, we will recess to close session.